Did Alduin know about the prophecy of the Dragonborn? How would that have changed the event of the game if he knew about it, but more importantly, put importance into it? This is going to be both a concept and a theory video as we analyze two things. Whether or not Alduin knew about the prophecy of his downfall by the hands of the last Dragonborn, as well as what he would do if he had put stock in that prophecy. Welcome back to the channel where we explore different lore, concepts, theories, you name it, in the world of the Elder Scrolls. Lately, I have taken interest in videos that make me think of the answer. Normally, I would cover mere lore that is already laid out in the timeline of Tamriel, but to cover questions that make us go into the mindset of the characters involved in conjunction with the events occurring around this time are pretty fun to delve into, as there is no concrete answer. So hopefully you enjoy these videos as well. Without further ado, let's dive right into this inquiry. When it comes to prophecies, they are a very good way of pinpointing an event that will occur in the world and timeline full of magic and chaos. As we know, exploring worlds and universes where magic exists and is no myth, things can go sideways, and many times they do. These kinds of worlds also spawn some of the most maniacal, chaotic, brutal, evil characters that usually seek complete mastery of the magical energy of their worlds and or mere domination of said worlds. Sometimes both. We are talking about the likes of Voldemort from Harry Potter, Saruman from Lord of the Rings, Sidious from Star Wars, just to name a few. Prophecies are typically used in some form to keep these main villains in check and exposes a weakness that can and usually does result in the defeat and death of the villain. To go even further, the knowledge of these prophecies by the ones they pertain to can drive them to the actions they take in the events of their story, such as Voldemort actively seeking to kill Harry Potter and Darth Sidious gaining control of Anakin to make sure he doesn't end his reign. You know the drill. When it comes to Alduin, however, it's a bit of a different story, and it's why I asked, did Alduin even know about the prophecy of the last Dragonborn, the one destined to end the rule of Alduin himself? We know one thing. Alduin knew the Dragonborn existed. While it is not stated when Alduin knew of their existence, but it would have likely been when the Greybeards called for them to High Hrothgar in literally the most subtle way possible, by shouting Dovahkiin to the skies of Skyrim for the whole province to hear. We know that by the events of Kyne's Grove, where we first witness Alduin reviving a dragon, that he knows that we are the Dragonborn, addressing us as the Dovahkiin, but addresses this appointment that we could not understand their language. If I were to venture a guess when he figured out the identity of the Dragonborn, it would have been when they slayed the dragon at the Whiterun Watchtower, subsequently absorbing their soul, with the Dragonborn the only known being to have that ability. If such a word could spread throughout Skyrim almost instantly, it would have likely reached his ears. Now, it's not likely Alduin could just go to a bar and ask the bartender for news of the Dragonborn, but he would have either witnessed the Dragonborn displaying their abilities, or he would have just likely heard it in passing. Now, did he know about the prophecy? Since it states when Alduin would return, it is likely that he did not know about that. It is also unlikely that he knew that the last Dragonborn was the only one destined to defeat Alduin with this prophecy. While nothing is for certain, as Alduin never directly mentions the prophecy of the wall ever during their dialogues throughout the events of the game, this is merely a guess. There is one thing for certain though. Whether or not Alduin knew about the last Dragonborn, I honestly don't think he would have cared. In his arrogance in believing that he's the strongest being in the world, which I don't blame him for thinking that considering his capabilities, he overlooked the movements of the Dragonborn, at least until the events at the Throat of the World, when the Dragonborn stepped into the Time Wound to learn of how the heroes defeated Alduin in the Merethic era, which likely caught his attention because of the resulting disruption of the time flow, which dragons are specially attuned to, and the conflict reached its climax when Alduin and the last Dragonborn fought at Sovngarde, leading to the once mighty dragon's defeat. Now for the last little bit of this video, we will address one more thing. What if Alduin had learned of the prophecy and acted on it? While this would be uncharacteristic of him, putting stock in the possibility that someone can defeat him, let's say there was that small bit of fear that he could be defeated by the last Dragonborn going through his mind. I think the events before the battle at the Watchtower would still be the same, with Alduin inadvertently saving the Dragonborn in Helgen. When the Dragonborn displays their power by absorbing a dragon's soul, this would likely catch Alduin's attention. Well, instead of confronting the Dragonborn himself, he doesn't want to take that risk. Instead, he would hasten his progression of reviving old dragon allies and restarting the dragon rule once again. In fact, it wouldn't be out of the question if Alduin decided to make frequent attacks on the Dragonborn themselves through his revived fellow dragons. In the game, the events of the story were mostly one-sided, with the Dragonborn being the one pursuing Alduin in their quest to defeat him, while Alduin merely proceeded with his own plans instead of countering the Dragonborns. I believe in this new scenario he would be more counteractive, constantly sending dragons to attack the Dovahkiin in hopes of avoiding direct conflict with them. However, despite this active plan to stop them, this result would likely still be the same, with the main difference being that the Dragonborn kills even more of Alduin's allies, and possibly gain active support from the Blaze and Parthenax, possibly creating a mini-alliance of sorts in their quests. The reason I propose this possibility is because while the Dragonborn would be stronger, being constantly attacked and harassed by dragons would still be a very difficult task to overcome on their own, so even they would have to enlist help. There would also be a possibility of the recreation of the Dragon War, except this time Alduin and his revived dragons would wage war on the Dragonborn, and by extension, the men of Skyrim to an open war, meaning different factions and races would have to band together for a temporary alliance while they wage war with Alduin and any dragons that remain loyal to him. If such a war occurred, the Dragonborn and Alduin would still inevitably engage in combat, resulting in the use of Dragonrend to wound the leader and force him to retreat to Skuldafn in order to restore his strength, and the Dragonborn pursuing him and defeating him in the Nordic afterlife, with the overall result being a victory for men once again. Now, of course, this is simply an outline of what could occur should Alduin decide to act on the prophecy and actively seek to defeat the Dragonborn, but I could blow it up to an entire scenario itself if you would like me to. If we could get this video to 75 likes, I will lay out that alternate timeline scenario. Of course, if there are any details I may have missed along the way that could result in a different outcome, let me know in the comment section below. And also, please consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more Elder Scrolls content. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all in the next lore video.